Okay, so we're going to be starting in child's pose today. So if we just come to rest down, sitting back onto the heels, and then you may want to just cross your hands or maybe even make a fist with your hands, resting your forehead down. Or if you feel comfortable, you can let your head come all the way down to the ground, resting either with the hands in front, or if you feel like bringing the hands down towards the feet might be better for you, just going right ahead. So we'll start by really softening the body and just beginning to tune in, bringing the attention inside. So maybe you can sense your breath pressing against your thighs, the belly as it moves. Maybe you can sense a stretch in your back. Maybe you're pressing into the legs, forehead. Starting to really focus the attention inside your body. Now, we're going to be working with the water element in this class. The water element connected with the winter season. It's going to be slow, it's going to be inward focused. So really enjoying these first few moments, letting your body rest in this quite compressed, small pose. Letting the lower back lengthen. Letting the breath settle. Maybe after some time you need to adjust where your head is as your body begins to soften and lengthen a little bit here. Maybe you need to move and adjust anything you need to. Letting things really become softer. So wherever you are, if we can bring the hands now in front and slide them out in front of your body. And we're going to do some very small, subtle movements with the lower back. So you may not even be able to see me moving, and it's just an internal sense. First of all, we're going to see if we can tuck the tailbone down in between the legs, down towards the floor, and this will round your lower back ever so slightly. And then we're going to see if we can lift the tailbone up, and like it's basically sticking your bum out slightly. So just lifting the tailbone. Okay, very small, subtle movement, tucking tailbone underneath. And then lengthening, lifting the tailbone up, floating the tailbone upwards. So tucking tailbone underneath. Now, as you begin to move with this, starting to flex a little bit more, maybe it's difficult to get any kind of movement, but just making that intention, right? So floating the tailbone up, tucking the tailbone underneath, starting to make slightly bigger movements. As the tail floats, maybe the chest extends and the head lifts slightly. As the tail tucks, the chin goes right into the chest and we round the back. As the tail floats up, the chest expands, the head lifts slightly, and then the tail tucks underneath and we round the back. So with the breath, breathing in as we extend and look forward slightly, breathing out, curling underneath, tucking the tailbone. Breathing in to lift the tail, lift the head, breathing out, tucking underneath. Yeah, let's do one more breath. Breathing in, and then breathing out. Okay, now this time as you breathe in, we're going to float the tailbone, we're going to float the chest and the head, and we're going to begin to look up and lift the chin and the chest to the point where the arms start to feel like they're being pulled along. Now we've got the grippiness of the hands on the mat, on the floor, so the hands are not moving, but the chest is lifting and we're looking forwards, and you'll feel that real length through the front of the body. And now if we disconnect the hands slightly or let them slide, we're going to tuck the tailbone underneath, sliding the hands back all the way back to the knees, tucking tailbone, chin down towards the chest, rounding. Okay, opposite movement, expanding the chest forwards, looking up, lifting the chin. Okay, so we'll move with that a couple of breaths, breathing out, chin down, rounding the back. Breathing in, expanding the chest, floating the tail, looking up. Breathing out. And breathing in. Okay, one more time. Breathing out. Now really starting to get that flexing through the spine. Breathing in. A little bit more movement each time. Okay. Now from here, we're going to lift up on the knees. And then we're going to tuck the tailbone underneath. And then bring the chin down. It's almost like a slouch position. The shoulders roll forwards. The head is down. And we're really lengthening the lower back. And then we do the opposite movement. Sending the tailbone backwards. The chest expands. Now we're going to let the hands come down and land just in front of the knees. And in doing so, we're just going to tuck the toes underneath while we're here. Now looking up, expanding the chest, tailbone up. And then doing the opposite. So tucking the tailbone underneath, rounding the back, chin to chest. And then we'll move with this a couple of breaths. So breathing in, looking forwards, looking up, tailbone up, breathing out, tailbone between the legs, chin to chest. Breathing in, extending the front, breathing out, extending the back. One more time, breathing in, and then breathing out. Now, from here, we're going to bring the weight back onto the feet, so the weight shifts right back, heels down to the floor, walking your hands in slightly towards your legs, and then walking the fingers as far forward as you can without having any weight in them. So the fingers are literally just touching the mat, reaching forwards and looking up, looking forwards, okay? Good bend in the knees, reaching forwards, extending through the front of the body. And then the next time you breathe out, slide the hands back to your legs, and we're going to slide up the legs and rounding as you come up. Let the head be the last thing that comes up as you come all the way up, up into standing. Rolling your way up, coming to upright. And then just take a little few moments with your eyes lowered, maybe closed if you like, standing tall, checking in, seeing how you feel as we've begun to flex and lengthen through the spine, getting that kind of watery feeling, that flowing feeling into the body. Okay, now we're going to be working with the energy systems of the kidneys and the bladder, connected with this water element. So let's find the energy meridian lines, the energy lines connected with these two organs. So we've got the bladder line, starts in the corner of the eyes, and then runs up to the eyebrow, and then comes over, so paired on left and right, comes over the top of the head, left and right of the center line, and then we come down the neck, and then it goes down the back here, down the big back muscles, down the buttocks, and then down the back of the legs, all the way down the back of the legs to the little toe, around the side of the feet to the little toe. That's the bladder energy line. And then the kidney line, it starts on the sole of the foot, just behind the balls of the feet, that's kidney 1. And then it wraps around the inside of the foot, comes up the deep inside of the leg on left and right, comes right up the inside here, comes up through the groin, comes up the front of the chest, just to below the collarbones. Okay, so we've got a down the back and up the deep inside of the leg are two paired energy lines we're going to be working with in this class. So if we start then by finding bladder 1, which is where the first point on the bladder line, with your thumbs, I'm just going to bring the thumbs into the corner of your eyes and have a little gentle pressure in here. So it's not a deep press in, it's just a very gentle touch with the inside of the eyes with your thumbs. And if we bring the palms together and then just take a little moment here, standing tall, and just have that gentle touch, yeah, so a little pressure into this acupoint. They call this one the bright eye point for helping the eyes to wake up and to become a little bit more enlivened. And then we're going to start a roll down. So if we just bring the chin down to the chest and feel like extending through the crown of the head down to the back of the neck as you do that. And then we begin to roll down, extending through the whole bladder line step by step. So into the upper back between the shoulder blades, into the mid-back, and then extending into the lower back as you roll down. Now please bend the knees as you come all the way down, now into the back of the legs as you roll, continuing down as far down as your body wants to go, like a comfortable, easy forward bend here. Just take a few breaths, sensing the whole back surface of the body. Now, when we're really listening to the body, when we are in tune with what it's telling us, then we can never hurt ourselves. We can never do anything wrong because we're really listening. The body is very sensitive. One more breath. Chin tucks right into the chest, really curling underneath. And then we're going to curl out or uncurl in the opposite way. So first of all, bend the knees and then begin to unfurl. Keep the chin really tucked into the chest as you come up, unfurling through the lower back, the mid-back, the upper back, and then finally letting the head come up and returning to the upright position. We can release through the hands and just letting your hands come down. And just again, maybe with your eyes closed, sensing the bladder energy line from the eyes over the top of the head, the neck, through the back, buttocks, back of the legs. Eyes lifting. Okay, so we're going to do some now work for our kidney line. We're going to come into a squat position. So as we're going to bring the feet hip width apart, so making sure they're hip width apart, toes facing forwards. We're going to come down, now bending the knees, and we're going to sit down in towards a squat. I know that different people have different levels of flexibility as you come down, so just coming down only as far as you feel is comfortable, going to work. Ideally, we keep the heels on the floor. So if that feels like you only come to here, absolutely fine. If you can come a little bit lower, fine. As at some point the heels want to begin to lift up, then we're just going to pause with that and just kind of sit in that. It's a bit like a skiing position, you know, imagine the poles, or maybe if you've ever done any jockeying. I have never done any jockeying, but it's the kind of jockey position on top of a horse, yeah, as we sit down. Now you might find you can come down lower, and if you can come right down, then just letting your body come right down. I'm just going to sit into a kind of fairly deep squat position here. So we're going to be working with the deep inside line of the legs. So if we bring the right hand, palm face up by the side of your foot, with the elbow on the inside of your knee. And this also works if you're right up here. We're kind of right here, or down here. And then we're going to begin to twist. So hand on the knee, and then turning. Now, it's totally up to you what level of twist feels good. We want to really listen to the lower back. We want to really listen to the legs and to any other signals from the body which are telling us what is appropriate and safe. And just exploring what it might be like to turn and look up a little bit more. Yeah, one more breath. And then release, coming back to the center. And then we go to the other side. So this time left hand comes down, palm face up, and with the elbow on the inside of the knee, other hand on the knee, and then we begin our turn. It's really helpful to do it slowly and gently. Yeah, it's quite a strong movement for the lower back particularly. So we're just going to start to turn, just really listening in, trying to be as beneficial to your body as possible. So it's not about how deep can I go, how fast can I go. This is about really listening and playing, if you like, with how to be helpful. Yeah, that curiosity. One more breath. Good, and then releasing back to the center. You might find one side feels quite different to the other as you do that. So just kind of interesting to spend some time. Now, if we turn the feet facing out to the side, and if we bring the elbows to the inside of the knees, we can bring the palms together and just gently press the knees wide here. And again, it works if you're right up here, no worries. We're pressing the knees wide. If we're coming down, any level of squat, it works just to press the knees in wide here. Yeah, and maybe even for a moment, if you're good with the balance, closing your eyes for a moment, and just really sensing, how is this stretch feel in the body? Where is it bringing your attention to? Okay, and then release. So we bring the hands down to the ground, and we're going to step back into an all fours position. So hands underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. We want a slightly long all fours. So not directly underneath the shoulders, a little bit long in between the hands and knees, if that makes any sense. And we're going to imagine here that the body is an empty container, and we're going to fill it with water. So maybe not completely full, but it's got some water in this container. We're going to slosh the water forwards and backwards. So the water sloshes into your hands as you come forwards, and then sloshes back into the legs, knees, as you move backwards. So forwards and backwards. And now you can imagine here that the body is like a wave moving with the water. So sloshing forwards and then backwards. And just allowing your body to move in any way it feels like it needs to kind of embody this wave-like watery feeling forwards and backwards. And perhaps it might be easier if I turn to the side and you can see a little bit. So we're moving forwards and backwards. And you can sort of play with how much forwards and backwards you want to come. Just imagining that water sloshing forwards and backwards. Now, once you've done a few times with the knees down, if you feel like it, we could try tucking the toes underneath and sending the hips upwards and backwards, coming into a down dog position here. Okay, and again, we shift the water. Can start small, right? So forwards and backwards. Weight moves back to the feet. Water sloshes back to the feet. We come forwards and backwards. Wave-like movement, forwards and backwards. And you may or may not find a movement which is similar to me. You might find in your body that kind of wave movement of the water comes in a different form. Feels like different. But what we're going to do is start to expand the size of the shape. So if your knees are down, no worries. If your knees are up, also no worries. Making the shape a little bit bigger, coming forwards a little bit further and backwards. Forwards a little bit further and then backwards. Sloshing the water forwards and backwards. Let's do a couple more here. And then we're going to come forwards and down, knees, chest, chin, sliding forwards and up, tuck toes, backwards and upwards, downward dog. And then we'll pause here. So take a few breaths, looking down to the space between your feet. Arms are nice and long, hands are firm and connected on the ground. If you'd rather have your knees on the ground, that's also fine, just resting with the knees down. So when we've sloshed water in a container forwards and backwards, and then we keep the container still, the water carries on moving forwards and backwards. It's got that momentum. So if you tune into your body and just kind of sense, how is the energy moving still in your body? The body is now still, but the energy continues to move. Can you sense that in how things feel inside? Good. Okay, so we're going to step the right foot and bring it in between the hands. And then bring the back knee down to the ground. Untuck your back toes. Just take a little moment here. Hands on the front knee, sinking into a lunge. And just making sure the knee ends up directly over the foot. Yeah, so we've got enough space between your back knee and the front foot. And then when you're ready, fingertips on the floor, moving the hips backwards. And as the hips move backwards, you'll feel that front leg lengthening a little bit. It doesn't have to go straight in any sense, just lengthening a little bit, keeping the front toes down on the ground. And then we're going to tuck the chin and curl underneath. So chin to chest, curling underneath. And this will bring us into sensing the back surface of the body, our bladder energy line. And actually, the more you tuck the chin, the more you curl underneath, the more you might get a sense of something being lengthened all the way down the back of the leg into the foot. So just take a few moments, explore, being curious. So as I tuck my chin, can I feel that? Can I feel it lengthening all the way down the back of my body? One more breath. Good. And then we'll bend the knee, coming forwards. So we're going to take the hands, step them a little bit in front of the front foot, tuck your back toes, lift the back knee and jump the back foot in a little bit closer. Hands in front of your front foot, going to make a triangle. So two hands and the foot make a triangle. It's a very strong and stable shape. As we shift weight forwards into the front foot, hands are underneath the shoulders here, and then we're going to see if it might be okay to let the back leg lift. Now, in order to lift the back leg, we're working the whole back surface of the body. This is our energy line. This is allowing energy to start passing, flowing through this bladder line. Maybe the foot wants to come up. If you feel good here and okay with the balance, eyes fixed on the floor, maybe two hands come up onto the front thigh, and we can just begin to find a little bit more of a balance. Perhaps even the hands coming out to the side, back, or even forwards here. So it just depends on what you feel is comfortable for you. Make sure the standing leg stays bent, not locked. Then we get stability that way. So a couple of breaths, allowing the back surface of the body to really work here. Okay, now the back leg, we're going to bring it down and we're going to swing it through to come up. Actually, we're going to come into a balance here. So it might be just be a moment for kind of pausing and resting for a moment with the toes down. Left leg, when you're ready, is going to come up here. Hands out for a balance, helping us here, eyes fixed on the floor. It's going to be quite hard work here for this hip, finding the stability. So just take a little moment. We're going to work with Kidney 1, which is called the bubbling spring point on the bottom of the foot. I mentioned it earlier. So it's just in behind the two balls of the feet, just tucked in behind on the sole. Okay, so we're going to reach down and with a finger, see if you can touch that point. Gently reach into. Other hand out for balance. And then lengthening forwards. Now, you may or may not come anywhere near straight. That's not the point. We're working our way forwards and maintaining that balance. Tricky balance to hold. Yeah, it's a real work for this hip here as you reach forwards. So a couple of breaths here. The point here, we're working into Kidney 1, bringing your mind, your awareness into that point. Ooh. And then we come out of it. Hopefully we can come out of it nice and gracefully and softly as you come out. So a couple of breaths, feet hip width apart, standing tall, eyes lowered, sensing how do you feel on one side of the body compared to the other? What's going on? Good, eyes lifting. So we're going to come back into our down dog pose. So if we come towards the front of the mat, sliding the hands down the legs, letting the fingertips come into the ground, and then stepping back, 1, 2, coming into a down dog, feet hip width apart, looking to the space between the toes. So this time, the left leg is going to step forwards in between the hands, bringing the back knee down to the floor, and then again coming up onto the front knee and just sinking in for a moment, finding the alignment, making sure the knee ends up over the foot. Okay, 2 hands down on the ground, fingertips moving the hips backwards, and lengthening this front leg just a little bit. Remember, the toes stay down to the floor. And as you feel the stretch in this leg, then we're going to be curious. What happens if I tuck my chin down to the chest and I really look underneath the body and I bring that curl to the back? How does it change the feeling in my leg? How does it feel? How does it change the stretch feeling? Tucking underneath. So maintaining that curiosity, maintaining the interest in feeling the stretch, in sensing this line of connection all the way down the back surface of the body, our bladder energy line. One more breath. Good. Okay, bending the knee, coming forwards. So we're going to tuck the back toes, bring the hands a little bit in front of your front foot, lift up the back knee and jump it slightly in closer. Okay, so we've got the weight nice and far forwards, making a triangle, 2 hands and the front foot. Back leg lifts up. Okay, working now. So we've lengthened the back of the body. We've kind of unkinked our energy line, as it were, and now we bring energy through it by working it. Okay, maybe we're here, maybe the hands come up onto the thigh, maybe the hands come out for a balance. Just whatever you need, okay? Whatever feels like an appropriate level of challenge for you just right now. A few breaths, sensing the flow of energy, holding our position here through the back of the body, through the hips. Good. And now the back leg is going to swing through and come up. And it might be a moment here just to touch the toes on the floor, and allowing the foot to just rest on the ground so that we can let the body rest as we come through. Or if you're feeling strong, then the leg can come straight up into a balance here, maybe even holding on here. So with the right hand, reaching down to the right foot, finding our kidney 1 point in the sole of the foot there, maybe with the middle finger or maybe with your index finger, just reaching in. Other hand out for balance, or maybe on the hip if you like. And then fixing the eyes strongly focused on the floor, we're going to extend out towards the front. Again, the leg may or may not come anywhere near straight, nice and upright in the body, lengthening into the leg, pressing into kidney 1, our mind coming into this energy point at the beginning of our kidney line. One more breath. Good, then we're going to bend and release down. So both legs coming back down to the floor, hip width apart, standing tall, eyes lowered, taking a moment to sense in. How do you feel now, the right compared to the left? The flow of energy in your body. Okay, eyes lifting. So we're going to now step wide. So I've got these mats orientated like this, but you may want to step sideways on your mat. So we're going to step wide, medium step, so it's not too long, so medium step. And this time turning the feet out 45 degrees outwards to the side. So we're going to come down into what's known as a horse stance. And it's very easy as you come down to stick your bum out, or indeed to do the opposite and tuck right underneath. So we're going to bring one hand onto the belly and the other hand onto your lower back. And as the body sinks down, just checking that we're maintaining alignment through the center of the body. The knees moving out in line with the toes, okay? So it's really easy again to let the knees fall inwards, and this puts a big torsion through the knees and through the ankles. So we're going to take the knees right out wide, and maybe adjusting the alignment of the toes to stay in line with the knees. So with their alignment sinking into it here. And then once you feel that alignment, we can release the hands, maybe just resting on the thighs here. Now this is quite a strong pose. I'm going to be here just a few breaths, maybe 8 breaths or so. And if you feel like this is quite a challenge, stay up high. If you want the challenge, come down low. Yeah. Again, knees moving out and behind, and then sinking here. Making sure you don't stick your tail out, working the belly, working the deep inside of the legs, coming right into the groin. This is our kidney line. Yeah. Eyes lowered, focus on the floor. Probably got another couple more breaths here of our 8. Breathing. Good. And then once you feel comfortable, just gently rising up. Now we can keep the legs in the same place, but just have a little jiggle around, just kind of loosen off through any tightness, through any build-up of muscle tension or anything like that, of chemicals in the muscles. Nice little jiggle around. And then we're going to come back down. So now the kidneys and the bladder are very much connected to the root of our body. So the bladder, as an organ, sits pretty much on the pelvic floor, right down at the bottom of our torso, and the kidneys have a pipe which goes all the way down to the bladder, kidneys processing the wastewater, and it comes down for storage in the bladder. So we're really focusing on the root, and we've got these energy lines which come deep into the thighs and into the groin. So we're kind of going to be focusing on the root of our body. If you feel it's helpful with the hands on the belly as you sink down, have the knees moving out to the side, really working back. This will work your bum, taking the knees out to the side, and maybe with the hands resting on the thighs. Okay, now bringing attention down into your pelvic floor, right down to the bottom of your trunk, and then see what it might be like to just gently soften and relax in this area, okay? Now we're working the core, which means the pelvic floor is included in the core. It may just have to hold a little bit, but maybe not quite as much as you might initially think. We're softening the pelvic floor, and we're if you like, opening the root of our energy system to the ground, to the floor, to the earth. Yeah. So gently, another couple of breaths here, really softening around the bottom, like an energetic receiving of earth energy as it comes up through the center of the body, enters into the lower part of the trunk. And then when you feel like you're working pretty hard here, just coming up gently, and again having a good old shake around in the legs, just releasing. Okay, and then we can bring the feet in, bringing the feet back underneath the hips, standing tall, eyes lowered, couple of breaths, sensing. So what do you notice? There could be all sorts of things that we notice as an effect. There is no right or wrong, it's just what you notice. Okay, so we're going to be coming down to the ground and continuing to work on these 2 energy lines. If you come to sit towards the front of the mat with the knees bent, and we're going to gently roll our way back onto the mat and let the legs and the hips lift up off the ground. And I know that different people have different levels of flexibility and potential in this position. So different options. We may want to lie on the ground and let the feet come up and just let them rise up and hold them up. You may find you can let your hips lift up off the ground, maybe with the hands holding the hips and the legs up above the head. Maybe the knees want to come down to just touch the top of your head. Maybe just resting there. Maybe you find you can lengthen out through the legs and bring the toes to touch the ground. Now, really important is that we don't turn the head side to side, or keep the head in line with the body as you do this. Okay? And just going to be exploring what it feels like in your body to lengthen the back of the legs, and to breathe comfortably and easily, relaxed here. We can walk right up onto the shoulders. Once you've found a place which is going to work for you, then just see if we can be here 10 breaths, 10 soft, easy, comfortable breaths. And the breath is a very good indicator of whether we've gone a little bit too far. It can get a bit tense, short, difficult, uncomfortable. We want to find a place where the breath is easy and we're really listening, and we're being as kind and beneficial to our body as possible. After 10 breaths or so, if you feel like an invitation here, if you like, to bring hands up onto your lower back and let the legs lift up towards the ceiling. We come into a shoulder stand. Now, there are many reasons why you may not want to do a shoulder stand. Maybe the energy is flowing in the wrong direction for where you are in your cycle, in your monthly cycle. Maybe you just feel like your head, your neck is just a little bit too tender or delicate. Maybe you've got an injury. Maybe you've got high blood pressure. Maybe you've got eye problems. Pressure doesn't help. So lots of reasons why you may not want to do this. And in which case, what you can do is just, again, roll out with the legs straight up. If you feel comfortable and you want to be in this shoulder stand place, the hands on the lower back, the fingers facing up towards your toes, and we can walk the elbows in closer, get this sense of being upright. And once you've found a comfortable place, again, 10 breaths, easy, soft, still and quiet in this position. It's very tempting to continuously fiddle and trying to get deeper and trying to shift your hands around, but once you've found something that's going to work, coming into stillness, sensing what your body feels. What is your experience? So once we reach 10 breaths or so, something like that, we're going to roll out slowly. So we're going to release the lower back. Hands come down to the floor. We're going to use them as brakes as we roll our way back down to the floor. Bring the feet down to the ground, knees up, head on the floor. And just take a little moment, shifting, making any adjustments you need. Sometimes it's quite nice to roll the head a bit left and right, just to make sure things are really nice and loose and comfortable. Just take a little moment. Here I am on the ground, resting. Good. And then if we lift up one of your knees, and then just press into that knee and roll ourselves up into sitting. And then we're going to turn and sit here with a wide-legged posture. So taking your legs out wide, nice V shape, kind of helpful sometimes to have your hands behind, lifting the hips, press a little bit wider into your feet, drop the hips back down to the ground. Now, feel free, completely, absolutely fine to bend the knees, just as long as the knees and the toes are facing up towards the ceiling and not rolling in or rolling out. Fine to have a bend in the knees. In fact, I'd really encourage it if you feel like it's helpful here. The hands can start behind, or if you feel like it's good for you, the hands can be in front. And we're going to move our way forwards. So letting the body fold forwards here. Thinking about the length that we've been exploring, the back of the body, all the way up the back of the spine, top of the head, lengthening as you fold forwards. Wherever feels like it's going to be beneficial for you to move in this direction. If you start off with bent knees, then we can perhaps explore what it might be like to lengthen through the heels a little bit and see if that feels good. See if that's going to be appropriate for where you are right now. Or maybe not. Maybe we're good with just where we are, folding forwards. So we're going to be here a little bit of time. So it's a chance to breathe and listen, be quiet, and let the body respond to this posture. Being curious as to what is generated here. Like, how can we feel this? What is your experience? Bringing your attention to the intensity of sensation. Like, where are you finding the body the most intense sensation? And just listening to that. If it's uncomfortable, or if it feels like it's a bit tight or too much, then absolutely we can just back away. Just because we've come in this far doesn't mean we have to stay there. We can back away. Like, actually, this is much better to me to be a little bit out of this. Or you might find that this is kind of soft and fine. I can just explore what it'd be like to come a little bit deeper. How would that feel? I mean, for me right now, I'm feeling this leg feels quite a bit different to this leg. So again, it's just like a matter of curiosity. It's not right, it's not wrong. Just breathing with it, noticing. And now we've been here for some breaths, you might find your body just softens a little bit and lets you in just a touch more. So 3 more breaths. And then we're going to slowly make our way out of it. So walking the hands back, tucking your hands up underneath the knees, and use your arms to bring the legs in. Nice and easy. Feet about hip width apart, and then we'll just flop the knees a little bit left and right. Just loosening off, softening. Now the last thing we're going to do is to do another acupoint massage. And we're going to find there's a nice connection point between kidney 3, which the kidney's energy line starts in the kidney 1, comes up and wraps around the ankle here. So we're going to come into the inside of there's the Achilles tendon up the back of the ankle, and kidney 3 is in this dip just in front of the tendon. And then bladder 60 is on the opposite side of the Achilles tendon on the outside of the ankle. Bladder line comes down the back of the leg. So we're going to use our fingers here on both sides and just have a little massage on both of those energy points at once on both legs. This is quite an unusual thing to have both fingers on both hands working in an energy point. You might, whichever's going to work for best orientation of your arms. So just kind of massaging in to those 2 points. This is a nice crossover, energy crossover between the kidney and the bladder, allowing the flow of energy around the body to kind of like move more freely. Nice. Okay, and then we're going to come into a meditation posture. So you may want to grab a cushion or a block or just something that's going to be comfortable to sit on, and then we're going to explore a little bit of sitting meditation. Okay, so we come into a comfortable meditation posture. You may want to sit on a chair. You may want to sit on the ground. You may want to sit kneeling over a cushion, or as I am doing, cross-legged. It could be a much more open cross-legged or a more closed-in cross-legged. So just whatever is going to work best and be most comfortable for you. Ideally, we're looking for 2 knees and the sitting bones being making a triangle. 2 knees on the floor and the sitting bones. And if you're sitting on a chair, then the 2 knees are directly above the feet, and again making a triangle with the sitting bones. So just a comfortable, stable shape with the lower body allows the upper body to be nice and upright and effortless to grow up into the crown of the head. And then, as if you're holding a ball into the chest, just underneath the chin, tuck the chin down and in slightly, and that'll really lengthen the back of the neck and allow our eyes to lower. We're looking down towards the floor. And either with your eyes just slightly open or allowing your eyes to close fully. Either one is fine. Resting the hands somewhere that allows the shoulders to feel relaxed and supported. So the shoulders are soft. And then we can soften down also through the face, through the eyebrows and around the eyes. Softening the cheeks, the lips, the jaw. Your whole body soft. but at the same time upright and aligned and balanced. So we've been considering our energy system of the kidney and the bladder. So let's just put our attention there, or notice these two organs themselves. If we bring the attention around to your mid-back, and just bringing your awareness just in front of the spine, we have our two kidneys, two like bean-shaped organs, just in front of the spine, left and right of the spine. And the traditional colour associated with the kidneys and the bladder is a kind of deep blue moving towards black colour. So you can imagine these two kidneys in your body, a nice deep royal blue or perhaps navy blue colour. Clean and healthy, functioning well, doing what they need to. And then these two pipes running from the kidneys down into your bladder, and the bladder located just resting on the pelvic floor, the very bottom of your torso, at your root. The bladder also a nice royal blue, navy blue perhaps, colour. Again, functioning well, feeling optimal, doing what it needs to. Now the hormone system connected with the kidneys and the bladder sits just on top of the kidneys in what we call the adrenal glands. And actually in the energy system is incorporated in the kidneys themselves. So the adrenal glands, their job is to produce the hormones that we associate with stress. Hormones of cortisol and adrenaline. So when we feel stressed, when we feel anxious, when we feel worried, when we feel overwhelmed, fearful, the kidneys are active. The kidney and the adrenal glands are producing these hormones, which is a great thing. They're very, very helpful. But just right now, as we're sitting here, can you just imagine those adrenal glands softening, becoming quieter? There's no need right now for any stress hormones. The adrenal glands relaxing. The adrenaline, the cortisol dissolving from your body. Your whole body becoming quieter. Entering this restful mode. The mode of winter. Rest, quiet. And then following the awareness down to your bladder and to your root. We did a little bit of work to allow the root to feel open and connected to the earth. And this is really the direction of our practice, this period of time, in this winter practice. We're nourishing our roots like plants out in the nature. They're all withdrawn, they're gone inside, and they're working on just nourishing the deep inside roots of their system so that they're ready for the upcoming year ahead. So as we can soften the bladder, soften the pelvic floor, softening our root, and allowing that connection, that relationship to establish between the root of the body and the earth. And as we soften, it's like we're inviting the energy of the earth to come in, to rise up, to nourish our body. Soft pelvic floor, open energetically, receptive, connected with the earth. And allowing that energy of the earth to just rise up, connect, nourish. So now we've been sitting for a little bit of time. If your body says it would like to come to lie down, then would be a nice time right now. Coming to lie down on your mat with the least movement possible. Just a nice, relaxing, lying down posture. Or if you'd rather to carry on sitting, that's also fine. Considering it's this winter period, taking care of your body, you may want to pull on a blanket. You may want to pull on extra coverings, socks, jumpers. Whatever you need to feel really nourished and looked after. Now we're talking about roots. And in the Buddhist teaching, the root of our suffering comes from when we grasp, when we reach for something that's not here right now. When we wish and want things to be different. Sometimes it manifests in a kind of wanting things that we don't have. Sometimes it manifests in a wanting things to go away that we do have. But nevertheless, it's about this grasping, this wanting. So what would it feel like? How would it be right now to let go of those wants, those wishes? To let go of our suffering? And just come into this moment, allowing this moment to be just as it is. Allowing yourself to be just as you are, sitting or lying here, soft, quiet, sensitive, connected, rooted to the earth. Being okay with just how things are. And in the Buddhist terminology, it would be cutting the roots of our suffering. How would that be? So you know that at any point you can come back to this restful, quiet, inward, rooted kind of position. And just through this winter season, really connecting with that and appreciating how important it is for your body and your system, aligning with this water element, this winter season. And as we come to the end of our practice, this practice together, just going to bring a little bit of movement back to the body, perhaps deepening the breath slightly, perhaps having a little wiggle into your fingers, your toes. And if you've been lying down, taking your time rolling onto your right side, no rush. If you've been sitting up, perhaps swaying your body a little bit from side to side. And from the lying down position, taking your time again, no rush, coming up into sitting. We'll all meet together in sitting. Bringing the hands together in front of your forehead. Take a little bow to honor your own practice just now. Coming up here, making this diamond shape on top of the head. We're going to lay that down over the crown. Coming out to the side, we scoop up a bit of the energy of the space in front of you, bring it into the chest, and we bow to this energy we've made, practicing together. And then from the chest, we go forwards and down towards the floor, bowing and saying thank you to our teachers and all the people in history who have passed things down for us to learn today. Coming up. So thank you.